Good morning, everyone. Welcome. And help me welcome the new Rolling Crones. Say it again, sorry. Good morning, everyone. There you are. All right, thank you. It's a great morning. We are welcoming the new Rolling Crones. I like it. It's really great. All right, I'm Reverend Dr. Mary Mitchell. I'm staff minister here at a center where we inspire and empower people to live spiritually fulfilling lives. And as you can see by the array of classes and all the things that are happening here, we do this really well. It's done with a deep heart of wanting everyone to feel as joyous and excited about life and loving life as we do. So that's really good. All right. We are going to invite the children up, and at the same time, Lindy is going to pan the audience so we can wave to everyone out there in the world who's watching. So turn around and wave, and we invite the children to come forward. Okay, she's just getting over here. Turn around quick. She doesn't want to make people look dizzy as she pans the audience here. Good job. Children? Okay. You are a part of me. You are the face of God. You are the face of God. have a new family here from Sacramento. They just moved to the area, and Diana's talking to their little girl. Maybe she wants to go out as the child. Good for you, Diana. Thank you. And they've been going to a church in Marysville, and so moved here and are just really pleased to see what we have to offer, which is great. Glad you're here. All right. I would like to thank everyone that came early this morning. Lindy's here as usual for the sound team. Dave Forsyth is here for the board, and he can answer any questions you have. So just line up at the desk, and he'll be happy to answer any questions and sign you up for classes. And Doug and Ronnie Herber are here as usual as ushers and greeters, and we always appreciate their help. Judy and the Crones are here, so we're happy to have them singing again. If you have any cell phones that might go off during service, we'd appreciate if you would silence them. Thank you. And for newcomers that have not received a packet, they're on the back wall. It's a blue folder there, and it has all information that you would like to know about our center and about this thing we call Science of Mind. I have some focus announcements. The bookstore will be closed Monday, February 21st for President's Day. And then Shirley and Reverend Sue will be having a Grace of Aging Sage Workshop. Saturday, February 26th, 9 to noon. It focuses on the portals of awareness we engage with when we experience the aspect of aging with high level of confidence. That sounds really empowering. And then Reverend Sue will do a visioning practice, and that's next Sunday, February 27th, 9 a.m. in the pavilion, so you can join her there for visioning. Robin Backstrom's book club is on the subject Living Deeply, Mondays starting February 28th, 2 to 4 p.m. And it's a book about how people achieve transformation off the mountaintop. Sounds wonderful. Then Discovering the Guidance in Your Dreams, a workshop with Reverend Kate Cox. She was our guest speaker last week, Saturday, March 5th, 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. Discovering fun, easy-to-use tools for unpacking the meaning of your dreams. So if you're a big dreamer, she's a real expert in this, so that would be fun. And then I have an announcement, and I was asking my husband, how do I announce myself? Darn, and he goes, just say what you're going to tell him, and then just say there's a copy at the back, and this is the only day I will sign this. He said maybe they'll laugh. Aha, good. Science Mind magazine is our magazine every month that comes out from our home office, and it's a fabulous magazine with reading for every day. And this month is for women. It's about women. It's a gorgeous cover. And they did a whole article about me and my prison ministry. And it's just darling. And they even put Michael, whose book we're going to come out with, he's a prisoner, they even put a picture of his family in here, which I think is really sweet. So if you would like a copy of this, they're with Dave on the board desk. There's a few back there for you. And this book's going to come out in about a month, and it's entitled My Search for Ancient Wisdom, how he studied the world's religions and African religion. He's African American. And then he found me and saying, how can I think Science of Mind can help me adjust to life without parole. We've been corresponding 14 years, and I call him a prison Buddha, and he really is. So it's a charming article, but the book's really good. So when it comes out, we'll have them in the bookstore. All right. Right now, we'll invite Craig up to do the reading. That'll be followed by, somewhere on here, the bell, I'm sure, Charlie. And then I'll do an affirmative prayer, and then Reverend Sue will talk about Forgive to Live. So, Craig?
It's such an important topic, and it's so difficult. The reading this morning is by Irish poet John O'Donoghue. For somebody who did you wrong, though its way to strike in a dumb rhythm, stroke upon stroke, as though the heart were an anvil. The hurt you sent me had a mind of its own. Something in you knew exactly how to shape it, to hit the target, slipping into my heart through my wound window left open since my childhood. While it struck outside, it had also burrowed deep inside me. It made tunnels through every ground of confidence. For days, it would lie still until a thought would start it again. Meanwhile, you forgot, went on with things, never even knew how that perfect shape of hurt still continued to work on me. Now, a new kindness seems to have entered time, and I can see how that hurt has schooled my heart in a compassion I would otherwise never have learned. Somehow now I have begun to glimpse the unexpected fruit your dark gift had planted, and I thank you for your unknown work, for I've learned to forgive.
There is only one power, one infinite presence. Some call it God. There are many, many names. For me, it's infinite intelligence that created the universe that today even continues to expand. It is created in each one of us a process by where we think, believe, that creates our experiences. And so today I know for myself and everyone here, everyone listening, we create a new slate, a new open space in mind where all is forgiven. It's a space that is just sparkling with divine energy, shining as the brightest star, as the brightest sun, as the brightest moon. It's free space, it's open space. Because we know letting go of anything unlike forgiveness is the great creative healing power in our life. It lets every cell in our body relax. It lets us smile more. It lets us love more. And so today I invite you and me to take that clean slate, to walk into that sparkling field of light. Forgive everyone and everything that's ever been in the back of your mind. Don't hold on to any of it. And feel the love of God enrich your soul. And for this truth, I'm so grateful. And I release this healing energy into the law, knowing it does what it does perfectly and with love. And so it is. Reverend Sue. Love in action.
So good morning. I appreciate the song that the lady sung. That reminds me so much of our dear Linda Aldridge, who passed away last year. But I remember sitting with her a few days before she passed, and asked her what she missed the most, and she said singing. How can I keep from singing? So it was nice to reflect on her and her beautiful voice, listening to yours. So here we are again. Guess what we're talking about? Yep, forgiveness. Ongoing spiritual practice. And I want to start with a little story here. I flipped my notes around getting ready. I totally changed my order. So, this is supposed to be funny. So, Lindy, if you could kind of get that soundtrack ready that we talked about. My jokes usually go over flat. So, the minister's sermon went on and on about how important it was to forgive people and to reach out. So, as he was quoting from the Sermon on the Mount, I so relate to this, on loving our enemies, he noticed that people were getting a little drowsy. So he decided to make the talk more interactive. Is there anyone in this church who can honestly say they have no enemies? Asked the minister. Initially, not a hand went up. Let me see in here, okay? And he said, eventually, a very elderly lady in the back tentatively raised her hand. Oh, please, come on up. Tell us your spiritual secret. How have you lived such a righteous life to have not ended up with even a single enemy? Asked the minister. Dutifully, the senior walked up to the front of the church, smiled brightly, and explained, I outlived them all. So, thank you. That was good. I hope you got that on recording. Okay, good. We'll use it again. You'll hear yourself laugh again later. So Gary Zukav, who wrote The Seed of the Soul, says, an authentically empowered person is one who forgives. Forgiveness is not a moral issue. It is an energy dynamic. Forgiveness means that you do not carry the baggage of an experience when you choose not to forgive. The experience that you do not forgive sticks with you. When you choose not to forgive, it's like agreeing to wear dark, gruesome sunglasses that distort everything. Forgiveness means that you do not hold others responsible for your experience. When you hold someone responsible for what you experience, you lose your power. When you forgive, you release the critical judgment of yourself as well as others, and you lighten up. Which is a good feeling, isn't it? Wouldn't it be a good feeling to just lighten up on all the different little places, crooks and crannies inside of our soul that we seem to have tucked away some of the more difficult things that were hard to look at, hard to feel, hard to get through. And the Course in Miracles, I find this important. So they write, what could you want that forgiveness cannot give? Do you want peace? Because forgiveness offers it. Do you want happiness? A quiet mind, a certainty of purpose, a sense of worth and beauty that transcends the world? Do you want care and safety and the warmth of sure protection always? Do you want quietness that cannot be disturbed, a gentleness that can never be hurt, a deep abiding comfort, and a rest so perfect it can never be upset? Do you want that? Yes. All this forgiveness offers you. Wow, it's a huge practice. And it's a huge topic, and it's one that, we will have to return to time and again because life keeps happening. Things keep coming up. And even though I've spoken about it a dozen times, there's so many layers to this. There's so many layers that it does become that endless practice that you take to your mat every day. And when we forgive, here's the most important thing to remember: you're free. You're absolutely free. But it's a decision, and it's a soul-changing moment when you say yes. This could be the greatest evolution of your life experience. The one understanding is what makes this matter so much. Your heart is free. Your heart is free. Your life is free. So Mirabai Starr speaks to it as an act of mercy. And her poem that she leads in her book, Wild Mercy, this is going to have some trigger points for you. I feel like I'm doing one of those commercials where what you might hear might make your stomach get a butterfly. But pay attention to that, please. Pay attention to when I say something that provokes you, because maybe it's something that you don't see inside of you. So, and also kind of amusing, as I was writing this talk this week, thinking about how many times you hear, I am sorry. How many times it's our go-to expression, oh, I'm sorry. Oh, excuse me, I'm sorry. And when you realize, you pause on that, what are they sorry for? Why is that just coming out so automatically? But here we go. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry that I broke your heart, that I was too demanding of your approval, that I forgot to put your name in my acknowledgments. I'm sorry. I'm sorry I forgot at the poetry reading and didn't bother to correct the perception that I don't care about you. Oh, I'm sorry I didn't attend your concert, your wedding, your funeral. I'm sorry I talked too much at the dinner party. I'm sorry I was so quiet. I'm sorry I gave you a low grade on your midterm exam. I'm sorry I was a mother who put my relationship with men ahead of my children. I'm sorry I was the kind of mother who hovered like a blimp and smothered you. I'm sorry that I interpreted your rejection as rejection rather than the cry that it was for help, for love. I forgive you. I forgive you for dying young. I forgive you for drinking too much and acting like a beep boop. I forgive you for talking about me behind my back. I forgive you for running over my neighbor and her daughter who were out for a walk, and I forgive you for leaving your girlfriend when she told you she was pregnant. I forgive you for accusing me of being arrogant when I was just excited. I forgive you for not seeing me. I forgive you for being blind to your own shadow, for your participation in institutionalized racism, heteronormativity. I can't say that. Who can say that for me? Heteronormativity. Way to blow it, Sue. I forgive myself for that. Okay. I forgive you for the anti-Semitic jokes and your Islamophobic remarks. I forgive you for lobbying for ownership of assault weapons, amassing a nuclear arsenal, building a wall to keep our people of color separate, and separating children from parents. I forgive you for genocide against the indigenous peoples of this and every continent. I forgive you for the Holocaust that exterminated my ancestors like bugs, and I forgive you for the slave trade, for sex trafficking, for treating garbage collectors like garbage, and I forgive you for putting profits ahead of people, technology ahead of clean air, and water ahead of the, head ahead of the heart, head ahead of the heart. Forgiving you was the best thing I ever did. Forgiving you set the bird of my heart winging through the universe. Whew. Mirabai Starr, she packs a lot in that statement, in that opening prose that she wrote. And it all is the different areas in life that we look at and that we realize that is deep suffering, that is brutal, that is hard for me to see. And so here we are grappling with our own way of how can I be forgiving in a world that seems so harsh, so cruel, so mean, so unforgiving in its own way, this world that we live in. And so what Mirabai is going to bring to you is the concept of Kuan Yin. Kuan Yin is the bodhisattva of compassion. And she speaks to her, she gives us a little background of the history of this feminine form of such a beautiful saintly woman. So she was brought here, this idea of Kuan Yin, the archetype of Kuan Yin is the waken all beings until they're free from suffering. All of us, we're on both sides of the forgiveness equation. It is said that she was born a woman, Maya Oshan, and that, like so many legendary female saints, she flowered in the face of persecution. Her parents wanted a boy child, and they did the best to get rid of Maya Oshan as soon as possible. In the meantime, they put her to work doing arduous household tasks, Not only did her labors fail to bring Myoashan down, but she drew the attention of the forest creatures who joined forces to help her. The mice threaded her needles, the rabbits swept the courtyard, and the deer split the kindling for the cook fire. When it came time for her to be married off, Myoashan informed her parents she preferred to become a nun, and they refused, but she insisted. Finally, the father sent her to the convent of his own choosing, only after striking the deal with the abbess that she would be assigned the grungiest duties and discouraged from monastic life. Myoashan was appointed to the convent hospice, where she was meant to tend to infectious wounds, clean up all matter of bodily fluids, and prepare the corpses for burial. This job, of course, was perfect for her. She not only cared for her patients' physical needs, she loved them through their deepest suffering. She loved them through their deepest suffering. Feel your own heart there. She sang to them and sat with them in silence, and when they died, she accompanied them to the other world to make sure they were safe. But when her father found out that she was thriving, where he hoped she would capitulate, he ordered her execution. So as the henchman raised his axe over her head, Myoashan looked into his eyes and forgave him for what he was about to do. She assured him that he would not bear the karmic burden for this deed. Unable to carry out the act of violence upon such an angelic being, he threw down the axe, shattered into 1,000 pieces. Myoashan swept up in a pearly mist and was transported to a nearby island where she spent the rest of her life in meditation. When she died, she became the Kuan Yin, embodiment of selfless service and sweet mercy. Sweet mercy. There's a lot to that, isn't there? There's a lot of different ways that we can look at the different trials that have come our way, the things that have been asked of us to do in this lifetime. And so when it comes to forgiveness on every single level, it is a decision that only you can make, but it is a soul-changing moment, guaranteed, when you say yes. Pointing back to that evolution of your life, understanding what matters most is allowing your heart to be free. So forgiveness, from David Brooks, The Second Mountain, says that it is often spoken of in sentimental terms as gushy absolution, but real forgiveness is rigorous. It balances accountability with mercy and compassion. I love the balance of that. It gives us the okay, then I'll listen. I'll listen if there's going to be some accountability here, and then I will stand in that sweet place and show mercy and compassion. So when we look at this bodhisattva, this idea that each one of us carry that heart of compassion, we hear the cries of the world and we're willing to see the wounds of the world. We are here to see that, and we can't get away from it. You can turn off your news, but it's going to find you anyway, right? And it's important for us to keep our hearts, our own wounds, wide open in a way that we can heal them, bringing the life force, the prana is called in the yoga world, the chi, bringing that to the wounds of our heart, that life force, that divinity, that breath, that's what's healing. And taking that breath of, I forgive you, I forgive myself, is the greatest breath we have. And so when we just like when that minister asked, who doesn't have anybody that they need to forgive? And it's a question for always before us. And the invitation is for you to make your list and don't leave anything off. Because forgiveness has everything to do with us. Because if there was nothing to forgive, we would be in a space in our journey towards the end of it, because things are happening all the time. We have our perceptions, we have our ways, we have the moments that our feelings get hurt. And everybody's doing the best they can, but if you're not telling anybody, they just stepped on your toe, they're going to keep on going. And you're back there cursing them, and they never knew. So think about these moments in your life and start to look at when we start to resonate with the ideas of letting certain things just be and not trying so desperately to right the wrongs that we shut down our heart. There is a book by Dick Tibbets that says, "Forgive to live. Can a wrong committed against you ever be right?" Of course not. Of course not. Wrong is wrong, even when it's forgiven. Forgiveness never makes a wrong act right, nor does forgiveness condone or excuse the wrong act. Forgiveness defines who you are. It does not redefine the other's wrongful act as right. Now that's a little bit of a mind game. That's a little bit of a mind game because there's pieces of you that so much want to do this deep practice and say, "I forgive you." But if they even dare, the person that you're forgiving acts uppity or puts it back on you or something, you're going, "Well, no, that's not part of what we're talking about here. I want you to stay wrong." And so it's just an interesting game. And it was even implied in the poem that Craig wrote. The person who did the wrong, all right, is completely oblivious, but they stepped into your heart, and then you're the one carrying the wound. And then Mirabai Starr, she says, the alchemy of this mercy, the alchemy of adding the mercy into your forgiveness is that's the moment that you're entering the truth. And when we don't want to have that fault showing at all, I forgive you because I want you to see what a good person I am. And that happens. Okay, clue to the audience. Here comes another joke. A couple had been together for many years when the wife made a terrible mistake, and she promptly apologized and they made up. However, from time to time, the husband would mention what she had done. "Honey," said the wife one day, "why do you keep bringing that up? I thought we were going to put that out of our minds. I thought your policy was to forgive and forget." "Oh, it is. It is," said the husband. "I just don't want you to forget that I've forgiven and forgotten." Ha ha, but yeah. Ha ha, but yeah. Ha ha, but yeah. I don't want you to forget that I have forgiven you. So we go deeper here, beyond the words and the phrases of "I'm sorry," because the only starting point is your very own heart. And you don't have to look very far, even as I was reading through some of Mirabai Starr's contemplations there, to discern where you draw your lines. But what are you capable now of forgiving today? What sticks inside of you? Because I know, and I'm right there with you, some things are so wrong and terrible and inhuman and brutal. But this spiritual practice doesn't ask us to remember to like or to condone anything, but just to allow ourselves to be free, to be absolutely free. And maybe you're wanting somebody just to quit telling you their story, so you want them to go forgive somebody else so they don't have that story weighing on them anymore. But all of it is reminding you whatever anybody else is doing is not your business. What's your business is who's on your list, and begin as a daily practice. I remember years ago when Tan Blue did her rendition of the Loving Forgiveness song. And, we would just be singing, "If I have harmed anyone, let me," you know. But when she'd get to that phrase about forgiving ourselves for the harm that we've done, that's when the tears started to flow. It wasn't just my guilt on something that I might have been carrying, but it was just like, if knowingly or unknowingly, if I have harmed you, if I have walked by you and hurt you in any way, will you please forgive me? And I forgive you for the same slight, that moment that I just read it wrong. I read it wrong. So when we look at this, we know that if I change my focus, if I change the way I've been doing this, that's when the light comes in. And now isn't that Leonard Cohen song that I love so much? And I actually visioned Craig up here, and these girls kind of boo-booing behind me doing one of these backup singer things with me. But because the last phrase of his song is, ring the bells that still can ring, forget your perfect offering. There's a crack in everything. That's how the light gets in. Ring the bells that still can ring, forget your perfect offering. There is a crack in everything. That's how the light gets in. That's how the light gets in. That's how the light gets in. And we're talking about that holy light, that holy moment where you realize the resurrection of your own self because you're free. And that's why when Mirabai pointed to the fact that when she acknowledged all that, she could fly like a bird. She was as light as that, as we allow ourselves to do our work. So it has to be genuine. It has to come from that deep place of your heart where the wound is pointing your direction of your attention there. Otherwise, you're just bypassing a really, really valuable, important moment of your transformation. And in The Search of Belief, Joan Schister says, premature forgiveness doesn't work. All it does is to substitute a formality where a genuine connection should be. It leaves the process of forgiveness incomplete. I'm reading this slowly because there's so much to it. It risks the possibility of submerging feelings that will only rise again in us until we can embrace them, face them, and perhaps, still smarting from the blow of them, move on beyond what cannot be changed to another point of life. Through the COVID political times that we have been living and experiencing together, all of us, all around the world, we get to a point of, how can I get past judgment? How do you get past judgment? You start with forgiveness. You start with forgiveness, and when the words come out, I am so sorry, and then you leave it there without adding all of your judgment on it, because things have hurt us, and there's areas in our life that we were vulnerable anyway. And Lindy had sent me the greatest little anecdote in a writing that she has been in her studies that she's currently into. But the best part was how the teacher was triggered by the child in the classroom, triggered, and she was just like that. She couldn't get to loving that child. They all had behavior problems, but this particular one was particularly obnoxious to her. So she did her work, and then she allowed herself to shout at her own self as much as the child had been misbehaving in the class. She would do it to herself in the mirror until she desensitized herself. Why was she desensitizing herself? She was finding her wound. She was finding her own wound, so it no longer was going to be her trigger. And she was able, she said, when she returned to the classroom, she found she could respond calmly and appropriately to the outbursts and focus on his feelings instead of hers. This is humanity. This is the opportunity that we have to go deep into those places where we can shout at our own self until we desensitize that place of vulnerability inside of our own being. So in the Buddhist teaching, in the Dhammapada, he has insulted me, he has abused me, he has robbed me. He who lives with these thoughts will never be free from hatred. For hatred never conquers hatred. Hatred is conquered only by love. Familiar? That's the law. And it starts way back in those times where the story of Jesus on the cross, forgive them, they know not what they do. The same with the Kuan Yin and the moment the axe fell. Forgive, I forgive you. That forgiveness is so profound, it does make things shatter. And Science of Mind teaching says divine forgiveness is always within our reach. What a great burden of personal responsibility will disappear when we understand the eternal mind holds nothing against any one of us. Forgiveness is a journey and starts from a starting point where forgiveness is absent. That's where you begin. And then reaching that space is your choice. That's Colin Tippin from the Radical Forgiveness. As soon as you catch yourself judging between right or wanting to change something about a situation, bring your state of awareness back to the present, let go of the illusion, and align with a spiritual truth. So we're beginning with ourself. We're beginning with that deep self that already knows which direction we want to go. We've opened the door to our own heart here. That's what we're all about. That's what we're all about in spiritual practices and classes and art, in the yoga practices. Hopefully we'll be having Tai Chi again, Qigong. All of these practices are saying, slow down and pay attention to what's in your heart, because we're the ones carrying the stories. We're the ones who either feel guilty or feel like we've been treated unfairly. So it all is coming from within, and we do it for ourselves. This is the self-love that they speak of. This is where we first find order in the temple of our own being, and it must be unconditional. It must be without any strings attached. Otherwise, we're still keeping a little bit of a dangling carrot out there of unforgiveness. So how many times do we forgive? And in the Bible it said, when I was a kid, I heard it 70 times 7. How many heard 70 times 7, right? Well, there's another version, 77 times. And I'm thinking, who shrunk that? Who shrunk that? And it's the NRSV version. But I'm thinking, that's so interesting how a scripture so profound could shift. They're making it easier and easier, okay? 70. I like 70 times 7. It's like, because you have to do the math. And then you're thinking, oh, I'll never get there. But you do. You start. You start by allowing yourself to no longer hold any grudge. Because there's a law of cause and effect here. You don't have to do anything. All the rights will be made corrected, self-corrected in a world that stays in balance. So Mirabai Starr informs us making amends is almost always the spiritual practice that is done daily. And every tradition has these rituals for taking a moral inventory, asking for and receiving forgiveness, to encourage us to engage in a concrete action to rectify any damage caused by our shortcomings, acknowledging that we are likely to mess up again, and offers techniques for growing our consciousness around the kind of behaviors that cause us to miss the mark. She calls this vulnerability, the space that we work on, the holy ground. The holy ground, because our steps are tender. We take care as we make our passage through that. So, just drawing this all into a space where we can approach the forgiveness today undefended, recognizing that we're relying on each other in this world of humanity, and we're finding our footing, as Mirabai puts it, in the human condition. That's how we find our lessons and how we find our way. It's a sacred act. So as you sit and you reflect and you look at your list, or you write your letters, or you make your phone calls, or you just allow that vibration of forgiveness to flow from you as you connect and reconnect and connect and reconnect to the source of all, it becomes a beautiful process of just love, reminding us we're so linked together in this web. And when we forgive another, you really are forgiving yourself. For what you do unto another, you do unto yourself. That's the law. Thank you. Thank you, Lindy. She planted that if I wasn't paying attention to her signs back there. But just as I close, think about where you sit with this. You know, there's no judgment coming from me to you on it. Only that I have my work to do, and I understand you have your work to do, and we'll hold each other through it. And we're allowing ourselves to just trust again that a good is unfolding, that we know within this teaching there is a faith, a deep faith that is established. That even in every story, even though we can't see the end, we can't get to that chapter just yet, the pages won't turn, it seems. Behind all our judgment and our sense of condemnation and frustration with different world events, there is a law of cause and effect. There is a space where we're invited to walk. And I wasn't going to bring this in today because I know I need to wrap this up, but there's this teaching from the indigenous people that remind us we're going to, in the seventh fire, there's going to be this opportunity. There's a crossroads, two paths. One, the indigenous people tell us, is the path where the grass is green, and you can go barefoot along that, and peace prevails. The other one is a rocky course. The road is black, and the shadows are dark. We have a choice, everyone, and we're reaching that crossroads. Do we want to turn and do the wisdom of the indigenous people who knew this generations and generations ago, and telling us, be careful in your choices and do the work that's called for. I'll close with this Krishnamurti quote: how can there be external peace in the world if we're not at peace with ourselves? We can never answer that question. We're always trying to bring about some kind of change externally. And the moment we can realize the sweet taste of just love being and not expect anything back, we've arrived. And Krishnamurti says, we'll never seem to realize that unless each one of us changes radically. Radically, there will be no peace on earth. So I'm proud of who we are in this center, who we are in Redding. We got lots of work, lots of choices to pick what we want to work on here. And we do it with grace and mercy. And so I'll invite Judy to play the keys to your heart. Close your eyes and see what's floating. What was buried deep but now seems to have emerged from the walls and the corners of your heart. Whatever face or image or situation populates that screen of the awareness. See yourself in that humble space, bowing deeply, lowering the thinking brain of the head that allowed the story to loop and a loop and a loop. You see yourself bowing down and allowing the head to be lower than the heart, and the heart rises. And in that point of humility, forgive. Forgive. Forgive yourself. Forgive all beings. And the Tao meditation that I take you deeper into, people should behave. They should be brave, clean, reverent, thrifty, and kind. They should do their chores, mind their mother, and never talk too loud. And when they don't behave, I am afraid. Who and what can I count on if rules are not rules? I can count on the courage of my own heart, the compassion of my own nature, and the forgiveness always waiting in my Tao mind. We take a breath there, and we reside here in the mind of the One. referred to as the Tao mind, the mind where all is well. It's all good here. And when we allow our consciousness to rise to that truth, to allow our hearts to rise to that opening, where we felt vulnerable or afraid, we feel the courage of that mercy and that grace, just as Kuan Yin did. No matter what the world offered her, she offered back from her true essence compassion, mercy, forgiveness, and love. We are up to that. We are made of that same essence. So we allow this truth just to fill our being, and we smile upon our way. And it takes courage, and it takes a willingness for each of us to stand in this powerful light on holy ground, knowing that as we choose to stand there in the truth, we allow the divine to flow through us, and the words that need to be spoken are spoken with truth and honesty and sincerity. And peace prevails. We make the first step here today. May peace prevail. May peace be in every footprint I leave behind. May peace prevail. I give thanks for those that I walk with, that I have time to share with, that I can clear my way, that we can clear our way, that we can choose, as the indigenous wisdom remind us, the path of peace, where our feet walk on the earth without fear. So I give thanks for the wisdoms that were shared by the many scholars and teachers and authors today, for the download into your own heart where your work is. And I release this knowing that it's already so, because you are powerful beings. I am a powerful being. We are the ones we've been waiting for. And so it is. Thank you, Judy. I bet you thought I'd never end. Thank you. Ladies.
I am well, and now let go, release and surrender. I relax, let go, release and surrender. I relax, let go, release and surrender. I am well, I am well. I relax, let go, release and surrender. I relax, let go, release and surrender. I relax, let go, release and surrender. All is well, all is well, all is well. I relax, let go, release and surrender. I relax, let go, release and surrender. I relax, let go, release and surrender. All is well, all is well. I am well, I am well. All is well, all is well. I am well.
I'm ready to line dance. Woo. Oh, that feels good. That feels so good. Good, good, good. All right. Oh, dear. I know. Okay, if the ushers would please come forward. There it is. Sorry. Okay. Thank you. As we prepare to give our offering to the center, we remember the overflowing power of divine life energy overcomes every obstacle and pours out into the world, blessing and prospering everyone and everything through each of us. I radiate blessings. I radiate creativity. I radiate prosperity. I radiate loving service. Through my vision, the world is blessed. So I am grateful by the abundance that is on the way and for the abundance I currently have, and I share my good with joy, and so it is.
I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. I am so blessed.
And so please repeat after me. This day I recognize God and only God as my substance.
This day I recognize that God and only God is the source.
And my supply and my support.
My supply and my support.
And so I give great thanks. You don't have to repeat this. I give great thanks for all the gifts given here this morning, knowing they come from the heart and from the inspiration of Reverend Sue's talk. And they inspire each of us to go forth and give further grace to the world this day And so it is. All right, Crohn's, thank you so much for being here. I just loved that song. It was so wonderful. So take us out. Okay.
It's usual for people to stand at the last song, but if you do stand, please don't pay any attention to the words we're singing, okay? It's up to you. Okay, here we go. Oh, won't you sit down? Oh, won't you sit down? Oh, won't you sit down, Lord? I can't sit down, 'cause I just got to heaven, gonna look around. Oh, won't you sit down? Oh, won't you sit down? Oh, won't you sit down, Lord? I can't sit down, 'cause I just got to heaven, gonna look around. Who's that yonder dressed in red?
Must be the children that Moses led.
Who's that yonder dressed in white?
Must be the children of the Israelites. Oh, won't you sit down?
Lord, I can't sit
Oh,
down.
won't you sit down?
Lord, I can't sit down.
Oh, won't you sit down?
Lord, I can't sit down, 'cause I just got to heaven, gonna look around. Who's that yonder dressed in blue? Must be the children that are coming through. Who's that yonder dressed in black? Must be the hypocrites are turning back. Oh, won't you sit down? Lord, I can't sit down. Oh, won't you sit down? Lord, I can't sit down. Oh, won't you sit down? Lord, I can't sit down, 'cause I just got to heaven, gonna look around. Oh, won't you sit down? Lord, I can't sit down. Oh, won't you sit down? Lord, I can't sit down. Oh, won't you sit down? Lord, I can't sit down, 'cause I just got to heaven, what a glorious sound. Yes, I just got to heaven, gonna look around.
That was happy. Look around, look around. Wow, we're in heaven today. So I wanted to remind you that Dr. Mary, Charlie, and Shirley are here for prayer support if you need that. If something came up and you need a little nudge into forgiveness world, we're here for you. Otherwise, have a glorious day and continue to pray rain, okay? See your feet in puddles and things like that, okay? And carry your umbrella and wash your windows in your cars. Whatever you can do. Have a good one. Thank you.